I'll wait for a few more people to join. Just as Instagram notifies you that we are just going live. Faye, that's far too quick to be joining. Good evening, everybody. Hope you've had a super day. I'm really excited tonight to be talking to the one and only Faye Tozer from Steps. Now, let me see if I can get her to come on. Bear with. A really and come on and join us for these chats. So I'm hoping Faye, she's setting up at her friends tonight. She's on.
Ah, I'm always surprised and really happy when it happens. Oh, how you doing?
Faye, I'm really well. Thank you so much for finding the time to talk to me. I know you're your friends setting up. I've just told everybody that. Hope you didn't mind.
So I'm in London today. I've got some nice fun band stuff happening this week, and I've had some photos and what have you. But when you invited me to come along and have a chat with you, I was actually really excited because I've done a few chats about menopause, but I find that it's a continuous journey and I'm learning things and finding new things every day. So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, bless you. I was just saying, we are so lucky that the celebs, past and present, are really happy to jump on and talk so openly and normalise it, because if we don't talk about it and you guys don't, we just think we're so on our own and we're so lonely. So if I can just jump on and just do a quick intro. So my name is Claire Hattrick. I'm the executive menopause coach for anybody that doesn't know. And I lost 10 years of my life to undiagnosed menopause joint pain, which left me unable to stand, sit or walk. I've got a free menopause website, theexecutivemenopausecoach.com, and a book, which I'm going to send you, Faye. I wrote it for men and businesses, as well as informing women at a younger age. Look, isn't it so cool when you want a picture to come up? None do.
Oh.
It's really simple and easy to read. And I'm absolutely delighted that we've got the lovely Faye from Steps joining us tonight. So just in case anybody doesn't know about you, Faye, my daughters, I've got twins, and one works for the Met and the other one, they're in London. The other one is a London paramedic, and they help me run my menopause site, bless them. And they went, Mum, don't do 5, 6, 7, 8. I went, oh, hey.
Well, you have to. I'm surprised you haven't done a tragedy yet.
Well, I did no, it might be a tragedy by the end, but let's keep it good to start with. So, Faye, tell everybody a little bit about you, just in case they weren't to know.
So, my name's Faye Tozer. I'm 1/5 of the band Steps, 90s pop band. I am a wife and a mother to a 15-year-old boy. I'm currently working in musical theatre, as well as doing a musical with our band Steps. We're doing our own musical here and now. And I am managing my perimenopausal journey as a working woman, trying to navigate my way around stage, touring, costumes, living on the road and living at home, and all of those things that we have to do.
Oh, well, it's bless you. It's really hard. So just some nosy questions then, Faye. How old are you to be in perimenopause?
So I'm 48 now. I think I started having small symptoms. It started with my eyes, actually, with a little bit of, we're going to say it all today, girls, with a bit of dry eye, I think, in my 40s. My biggest sign that things were actually physically changing. Oh, look, I'm having a little hot flush now as well. I had a massive bleed last January, and it lasted for 2 weeks. And I just couldn't believe what was going on. And I thought I had something seriously wrong with me. Maybe, I mean, it was the volume. Where does it come from? I'm very, very lucky that my mother-in-law was a general nurse practitioner, and she was able to recognize the signs. I also had lots of friends direct me to Davina McCall's Menopausing book, which has been my Bible. And it's, I've had lots and lots of different symptoms since then. Can
I stop you there, Faye?
Yes, because
were you aware that it was menopause? Did you know what menopause was, or perimenopause?
So we're calling it perimenopause, aren't we? Because
Yep.
officially menopause is once you're
One
done.
day, or 12 months and 1 day from your last period, then you're post-menopause. But you are post-menopause for life. And we talk about
Yes.
this transition. I keep saying to people in the menopause space, we've got to stop saying that, because women suddenly think that their hormones are going to jump back into their body. You just need to be aware that it can be, post-menopause can be worse for some ladies, whereas for me, perimenopause was really horrendous.
Yeah, so I
But
just
so
want
were
to.
you a little bit aware of what was going on, or was it your mother-in-law that kind of aimed you in the right direction?
So I'm just going to flag something. We've got somebody just down here saying I'm only 23, but I'm worried about the menopause. It's a journey, and the fact that we're talking about it, it's not
By the
an
time she
illness.
gets there, you're
Exactly.
not
And
going
it
to
will
be.
have changed by then, but
We didn't know.
no,
We didn't know. I mean, I'm 56 now, so I'd have been 40 when I was going through menopause, and I was under 11 consultants. Nobody knew what was wrong with me. And but now it's a lot more talked about. And by the time you're 23 and you get into menopause, you're going to be so on it. You're going to have that menopause toolkit, and you're going to know all about HRT, lifestyle changes, which Faye and I will be covering. So back to my question then, Faye, were you aware of perimenopause? Because I certainly wasn't.
So I didn't realise that it was such a long journey. I didn't realise that it could have so many different symptoms that could be connected back to lack of estrogen. I didn't know. I literally thought it was like a year. Like that
And
your
you'd be
periods would
fine.
just get irregular, and then they'd just stop. I thought that's what happened, or that was the information that I'd had. My mum, I know for a fact, was on HRT, because we used to laugh, because mum was on the patches, and if dad had woken up and the patch had gone onto him, she would always laugh and say, oh, he's going to grow boobs now. So like it was talked about, but not in any sort of depth.
Well, they didn't realise. They don't know. They're very. I mean, my mother's 81 now, and she was on HRT. And I mean, when people say, "Oh, but my mum," I always say, "Don't base it." My mum was always having hot flushes. I've got the heating on. I used to be a really warm morse, so I was the kid running around in a little white pair of knickers out in the snow, really warm, XX sufferer. Now I am absolutely freezing constantly. Heating's on tonight.
So this is interesting. So I had a lot of my friends had hot flushes, but I actually got cold stents, where I would feel like I had goosebumps, and I ended up having quite itchy skin, which apparently is one of these things. I don't have it currently. So I'm taking, I have the Estrogel.
Right.
And that's my form of HRT. I was fitted with the progesterone coil, but
coil.
Mine was the Levocert. So I live in the northeast, and I don't know whether it was a postcode thing,
Might be.
but it's the same deal basically.
Yeah.
So I have my Estrogel, I have the progesterone, which has really helped me, because the bleeding was a problem for me, for going on stage and getting caught short and not knowing what was going to go on with my cycle, also being drained of energy, and it's really balanced that out, and that's been amazing. And I feel like I've been able to get back to work.
That's really
confident.
hard. I mean, if you're having I never had hot flushes, I'm always cold, but for you to be up on stage dancing, singing under hot lights, having a hot flush, trying to remember your words, do you suffer with much brain fog and memory?
So I was going to say, I don't get so many flushes. I think it's almost when I'm in situations when I'm in front of people, because
bit anxiety.
It's a heightened thing. My brain fog was, and the she says that my brain fog and my anxiety was the biggest struggle to get back to work once I'd realised what was going on. And I think as soon as you pinpoint them and you go, do you know what, that's one of my symptoms, you can almost take them, put them in your box and go, okay, there's ways to manage these. So that's one of mine. Everybody's journey is different. I know one of my girlfriends, one of my best girlfriends, she's just getting through this like a breeze, having no symptoms. And I'm like, well, I'm the one that exercises the most probably, and I'm the one who's sort of out there, and I don't understand why that happens.
I have a sister that keeps saying, oh, I've walked, she's a bit older than me. She says, oh, I've walked it, until I remind her how many times she's been blue lighted to the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading with heart palpitations. And when I go through my list of 70 symptoms, she starts ticking an awful lot of boxes, because we're not educated on all the little things that, you know, the dry eyes, the metallic-y taste in your mouth, women that their hair's falling out, and there's so many other symptoms.
Starting,
itchy skin, like you've said, and there's some really bizarre ones. Like I always talk about my spatial awareness. My daughters are watching this and they'll be going, yeah, there she goes. I literally, apparently when I shop, I go diagonal. I never quite know if I'm at the bottom of the stairs, even though I'm looking. I always hold on for dear life. I'm like an old lady at 56. I might as well be 96. And I have, if I'm in the gym, I can't run anymore. I have to hold on to the treadmill, because I feel like I'm really sort of all over the place.
Your balance is off. So this is interesting. So I've just started doing Pilates. I've been into yoga for a few years, because I like it for dancing, and when I'm doing my shows, it's really nice to stretch. I can do it anywhere. I've more recently got into Pilates, which has been brilliant. And actually,
training.
I saw on your page today, you linked in, what's the lady? Menopause Pilates.
Oh, Dinah. She's brilliant.
Her page is fantastic. I was going down and going, oh, that's something I need to look at. That's something else. So please, please have a little look on her.
Yeah, she was at my show. I did a show at our local theatre. I got so fed up with local businesses not getting on board. That's my passion, is to keep women in the workplace. And so I hired our local theatre in February, and again last week. And Dinah happened to be on my panel. So if you're not following me, give me a follow, and stalk out some of my my reels that I've been putting up. I put one up this morning about motivation, because I tend to get up early, work, and then I try and go to the gym to keep that fitness up and keep the old cortisol levels under control, because the old visceral fat likes to sit around that middle a little bit.
So cortisol is something new that I'm trying to learn about as well, because I'm having problems with my digestion, and this is, I think, linked with hormones. So I always had a little bit of IBS. I think
exacerbated in menopause. I used to as well. I think young ladies, when they go on the pill, that progesterone, there's definitely some link to that.
To do with,
but I'll tell you what I do take. I take a really good supplement. You're going to love this, because I'm very open in my conversations. I used to bread a fart from the top of the stairs to the bottom. I could play the trumpet voluntary. I could be a backing instrument to your band.
Amazing.
And I came across a company called Dr. Vegan, and I take their Gut Works. It's a pre and probiotic. Any women that suffer, and lots of women will be going, that's me, constipation, diarrhea, bloating. I'd have a mouthful of breakfast and my tummy button would feel like it was going to explode. I'd be bending over. Honestly, pre and probiotics, I swear by them, and it sorts out all those gut issues.
So I was very fortunate to have the Better Menopause get in touch with me about their probiotics. So I'm trying theirs at the moment. So far, so good. But I think before I was on the probiotics, literally all the food that I've always eaten, I think it just changes suddenly. It's like a plain, I eat pretty plain food anyway. That's what works for me. And I found that even those foods were just like, it could be one day I was
changes. You just can't eat in your 40s and 50s like you possibly could in your 20s and 30s. And I say to lots of women, they're like, oh, I'm putting on so much weight and I'm avoiding the carbs and I'm training the same. But it is, I mean, if you're going to cross train, you're going to spike your cortisol levels, but it's how quickly they come down afterwards. We've all got a little bit mad about sugar spikes, and we have to live. But I think it's Emma Bardwell, she's a really good nutritionist to follow, and she was saying at the show last week, you need to have a colourful array of fresh fruit and veg, and it really is back to basics. And she said we've all gone a bit protein mad, you know, unless you're gonna have about 15 chicken fillets a day.
Okay, well talk to me about that, because I think all the messages that we're getting forward at the moment is, if you're in perimenopause, it's protein. That's what
you don't need to go mad, because you know you need to support your body. If you're not eating a few carbs and things like that, you're not going to fuel your body.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do a live. We'll have to get one of my nutritionists on.
Yeah.
Because they're absolutely brilliant. They're a wealth of knowledge. But you'll get one nutritionist that will say one thing, because I fast. Some of them are for it, some of them against it. But I think you've got to find what works for you. It's like you were saying, Faye, HRT isn't for everybody. So with my story, I started HRT and it was an absolute miracle. But guess who bled and has an intolerance to progesterone? So after 2 years of gel, patches, I took a synthetic progesterone, coils, you name it, nothing worked. So a couple of private menopause GPs that I know on here and Mid Hampshire Health got together and they said, you'll have to come off of it. I was mortified because I said, well, I might not walk. But here we are a year down the line and I'm absolutely fine. I think I'm so far through menopause now. I kind of know the score that the remaining hormones will always fluctuate for life.
Yeah.
And I think women need to be aware of that. But yeah, I'm walking, I'm sitting, I'm standing, and life is, it does get better, ladies, but it's finding what works for you.
And recognizing that it's a symptom and trying to find out what to do with it. I started having joint pain. I was getting shoulder pain, my elbows, my knees that I never used to have. And that's, I mean, I'm fairly active. I go to the gym a lot. I do lots of classes in between shows. And I found that my new thing that I really like, I've tried cryotherapy, which is like going for a cold dip in the sea, basically. It's that similar sort of thing. And the endorphins you get from it as well are great because they kind of give you a little buzz during the day. But actually the anti-inflammatory effect it had on my joints has been absolutely amazing. So cold dipping and cryotherapy have been a good one for me.
Right. I always like to know what works. But some people say that they can't get over the cold, which always has been my worry. But I might be out at the weekend, Phil. I might get the hose out and see how I'm doing.
I'm somebody who wouldn't go in the sea, and now I'm just like, let's get this dip on because you get the buzz from it. It's great.
Do you go? Is that cold? Is that in a pond? Is it in a stream, a lake, a river?
It's in the North Sea. I'm up in the Northeast. Yeah.
Next time you go, can you make sure you get someone to film it and tag me in it because I'd like to watch.
Absolutely, and you don't go in for long. I've got all the gear. I've got my little dry robe. I'm part of that gang now. So literally, we just G everybody up. You go in together. You stand it for as long as you can stand it, and then you get yourselves out and you have a nice cup of coffee all together and chat about things. They say
it's very good for mental health as well. Very good for mental health as well. Yeah, amazing. So now we've got to get to the nitty gritty then, Faye. And nobody ever likes talking about this, but I feel if I don't, nobody else will. So what do you know about vaginal atrophy, vaginal dryness, and moisturising your vulva and vagina?
Okay, this is good questions because I was doing the research and reading Davina's book, and she talks about this quite a lot. And because she was talking about it, I got a little bit scared about the whole thing. So far, I'm doing well. There's no issues for me as yet, but I know that that's a potential symptom to come. And because of that, I ended up Googling the best vaginal cream or lubrication or whatever. And then I popped into the station. I was just seeing which chemist would have it. And it's a thing. Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a friend.
So what you need to be doing though, Faye, is before anything happens, is using, well, we make it really simple because we call it 3 things. So vaginal, localized or topical estrogen. So it's 10 micrograms of estrogen that you insert. Normally your GP or doctor will say, use it every day for 2 weeks to give it a good kickstart, and then use it twice a week. But for as long as, and I've not suffered with any dryness, but I did not want
to end
up having
the preventative.
Yeah, you should. You don't want to wait till, I mean, I went to my doctor and said, when I go for a wee in the middle of the night, it's kind of going everywhere. And she went, oh, that's the start. And yet internally, I'm not dry at all. And I watch women around the gym in the morning, itching, scratching, pulling themselves apart. And yes, organics are going to love me. But this you can get from your GP, and it's vaginal moisturizer by a company called I always say to people when I give these samples out that it is like, if I can open it, it's like water. You do not need a lot. But this I will use twice a week. Again, I'm trying to pull out a
So
sample
you're
now.
using this as a preventative though?
Yeah,
So
so
it's
that's
like
it.
as you do your body cream, you're sticking your
Yeah,
Estrogel on,
this
and you
you
have a little bit of that as well.
but this isn't internal. This doesn't go inside the vagina. This goes around your
Yeah,
vulva. You can plaster it on everywhere. It is really like water.
yeah,
I would say to people, don't use too much of it.
yeah.
And literally, it is a game changer for so many women. And this is
Okay.
totally
Quick
organic.
question though. Does it feel sticky? Because you know when you're
No,
putting anything down there, you
no,
can whack your pants on and go to the gym.
no,
It's like
no.
so
It's
it's a
not.
yes for that.
It just dries in really, really quickly, and it stops any of these. You know, you don't want to be itching, scratching,
No.
sore. And women often, even during sex, they're saying, "I can't have sex anymore because it's burning, it's stinging," and women start getting tears, and that isn't just internally. So if you speak to your GP or your doctor about a vaginal moisturizer, they will, 9 times out of 10, yes is one of their, you normally get it in a white tube and it
Yeah.
lasts forever. Do not do the big squeeze. The minute you tip it out, you'll have a tiny little pea-sized amount, goes for miles.
Okay, so girls or everybody here, we need to prevent this and make sure that we're all sorted for
Well,
that.
I said in my show last week, and again, my daughters roll their eyes, and I hate this word, but I'm an ex-beauty therapist, and I said, if you're going to moisturize your face, your fingers, moisturize your fanny. So whatever you do,
Absolutely. Amen.
absolutely. But why are we not talking about this? Why are women in their 40s and 50s thinking, well, I can't have sex again? More marriages and relationships break up at this time because when men couldn't get erections, some wise owl turned around and designed Viagra. But then you've got
Exactly.
women that are drying out from the inside out and aren't moisturizing because nobody tells us to.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to come on these chats and make sure that everybody, when they leave, says, yeah, the executive menopause coach said we need to be moisturizing down yonder, and you do. And I think if you look at the older generation, they're racing off to the toilets. They've got constant UTIs. So
yeah,
if you can use localized topical, estrogen, the little white tablets so you can get pessaries, insert them vaginally for twice a week. It should keep a lot of these symptoms at bay.
and again, this is preventative. So this is if you don't have symptoms, but you're going through your perimenopausal journey,
And
it's worth investing in those. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is that nobody tells us. I went to my GP and I just said, what do I need to do? And she said, well, you just need to be moisturizing. So gave me a prescription for, it happened to be Yes Organics. They were at my show last week. And that's what I do. And I will do it for life. I mean, our poor older ladies, they've got prolapses. And how much of that is down to dryness? And these poor old ladies that, that have got no idea. We've just been left to put up and shut up for so long. So I'm on a mission, Faye, to get everybody moisturising.
Let's do it. I'm in.
but yeah, the thing is, it's a bit like HRT. I needed it in my early 40s.
Yeah.
But it's no good. People say, oh, I'll wait, I don't need it yet. Well, the more research that's coming out, you need to take it before all these symptoms, like me, are so horrendously off the Richter scale. I mean, I stood up against a door frame and slept for 2 years because I was having what I thought was mild asthma. I was having panic and anxiety attacks all night. And often the psychological symptoms come along before, you're still having the sex of your life, your periods are still regular. But I was having panic attacks and I didn't know what a panic attack was. So I was taking more and more inhaler, more and more, drugs that I didn't need because nobody talks about menopause. So there's lots of us doing it now, but I'm definitely on a mission to make sure that we have that nice menopause toolkit and we have the things to take out and try and find out what works for you.
Okay, so let's talk about the toolkit. What should we have in our toolkits? I mean, for those of us who are lucky enough to be able to take HRT, we've spoken to our doctors. What else do we need? We need our our little preventatives.
You also need to look at lifestyle. When we talk about HRT, it's not a silver bullet. There's women that have had cancer who maybe can't take it. More and more research is showing that with certain women with certain cancers, speak to your oncologist and your doctor, are able to now take lower doses, and obviously they're monitored. So definitely look at that if your symptoms are really bad. We need to look at our lifestyle. I've got friends that I know they can't do that bottle of red wine anymore because they get quite nasty and they don't realise it till you point it out the next day and go, "You're quite horrible to your husband." And they're like, "Oh, what's I again? Yeah, you're quite aggressive."
I don't need wine to do that. That's just the age.
But menopause rage, lots of women contact me and say, "Claire, I'm so rude to my staff. It spills out of my mouth and I can't stop myself." And again, it's not that you're a nasty person. It is another symptoms, a symptom of menopause.
So that was another of the big signs that it was definitely perimenopause, because if people know me, I'm quite a placid person. I'm non-confrontational. That's just the way that I am. And I literally found myself screaming like a banshee, and it was like such a surprising outburst.
We've all done it, Faye. We've all done it.
Yeah, I mean, it surprised myself. And I think it was good to then speak to my husband and my son as well and go, "Guys, about that little outburst." And then just explain that sometimes that is going to be something that I can't control, and it's not an excuse. It's a genuine thing that's happening to me. It's a disbalance.
And well done you for approaching that subject with two males, one obviously younger than the other.
Well, I live with two males and I've got no choice, and because I'm now talking to a lot of people about this as well, they're very much involved with the conversation. Even my godson that I'm staying with tonight.
Well, I'm going to send them this so that you can put it down the side of the microwave. And I want a picture of your son having a little look at it.
Oh, I will do. My godson's here today, though, and he was saying, "Oh, yeah, my mum is he actually called it perimenopausal, which was cute."
We don't mind.
Yeah, we're telling all the boys.
Oh, it's brilliant. So back to our toolbox. So our toolkit. So what you need in there, you obviously need your exercise. You don't need to, I don't need to probably discuss that with you, Faye, because you're dancing. You know the importance of strength training. And it doesn't have to be that you go to the gym and you push lots of weight. Sometimes it's carrying those heavy shopping bags. And before you put them down, just do maybe 5 lifts. As you say, you do Pilates. That's really good. And you can do Pilates sitting down, standing up. Dinah did a great, she did 3 little exercises in the theatre last week, and we were all, in fact, we stood up for one, sat down for the other 2. I do have to say, though, you do need to get your heart rate up, because more women die of heart disease than they do breast cancer. So you need to get your heart rate up. So you'll find me, the reel I did today, you'll see me, I cross-train for 20 minutes. I can't run anymore. My knees and hips have had it. But definitely, you need to get that heart rate up. A walk once a day.
Walking up the hill, you know.
But power walk.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I do my classes, but it's the elliptical exercise, because my joints aren't brilliant at the moment, so I'm not going to be running anywhere. I try to keep any sort of pressure on my joints to a minimum. But so something that I've been doing recently, it's called the 12-3-30. And it's your incline on a treadmill. If you go to the gym and you have access to a treadmill, 12 incline for 30 minutes at 3 miles an hour, or it's 4.7 kilometers or something. And that's brilliant for cardio. It's also a little bit of a fat burner as well. Weight trainers use that sometimes. And it's really low impact on your joints and can help that bum give a little bit of a lift as well as you're doing it. So that could be a nice little perk. But that's a really good one for cardio too, but it's gentle on the joints.
That's brilliant. Really, that's really good advice there. So what else we put in our menopause toolkit? So obviously nutrition. What's your diet like? What's a typical dinner for you then, or a typical breakfast, dinner and tea, or how do you eat, Faye? What's your routine?
So at the moment, I'm doing a bit of a food journal to try and work out what's going on with my digestion, because I say mine's just all over the shop. I'm, you know, one day something can work, the next day I'm blown up like a balloon and feel horrendous. But so I've cut down my coffee. I have 1 black coffee a day. And that's the first thing, because I don't want to give it up, because I love it. I do love my coffee in the morning. It feels like it sets me up.
And we have to live. We do have to live. You're allowed a bit of cake every now and again, but just not every day like I was having.
Yeah. So I also do shots as well. I do a shot of ginger to help my digestion as well. I also do a shot of turmeric as well for inflammation. And I have my probiotic. So those are 3 extra supplements that I have. I've got to say, I do fasting usually till lunchtime.
Yeah,
because that works for me at the moment.
Yeah.
That's not every day. If it's a weekend, I'll have a bacon sandwich with my boys. You know, I'll join in at the weekend, but it just keeps me fairly on an even keel, I think, at the moment. And then I feel like salads and raw vegetables aren't great for me at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm cooking my vegetables. I'm trying to stay away from heavy meals and pastas and stuff like that because of my weight fluctuation as well. So I'm trying to eat
with gluten. I did do about a year gluten free, and I know some of the nutritionists will be saying, no, you shouldn't be giving stuff up. But for me, for a period of about a year, I tried to, I wouldn't say I gave up everything gluten, but I was just aware of things with gluten in would blow me up.
Yeah, so I'm staying away from bread as much as possible at the moment, even though I love it. Pasta, I'm not the biggest fan of pasta, so I can live with, but I'm going for brown rice, but I actually like brown rice. So brown rice, veg and fish is my go-to healthy meal.
That's good.
And yeah, that kind of works for me. I do feel like it's becoming a bit of a plain diet, but I don't mind that at the moment because I think it's more like sustenance than enjoyable food, and I'll still enjoy a meal out with my boys and still carry on those sort of things. But it's like getting back to basics as well. And it's like, because I do drink milk, I drink semi-skimmed milk, and I'll have 2 cups of tea a day as well. I try not to eat too much cheese. I love cheese. But again, I find that upsets my stomach at the minute. So yeah.
What do you like with sugar? Because I was a big sugarholic, and I never realised how much it's not good for mood and it's not good for pain.
So I feel like I'm getting sugar cravings at the moment.
Yeah.
So what I've done, because I did go a little bit mental on the sugar recently as well, and then I was just like, oh no, that's not working either, because that's going to blow me up in another way. So I'm doing like protein bars, which maybe I'm having too much protein at the moment, I don't know. And also there's something called, what's it called? It's the marshmallow bars, which is like dark chocolate and marshmallow inside. So it's kind of
skinny. Is it skinny something?
No, it's not that brand, but it's something. It's something marsh. Somebody will know. Yeah, so that's kind of like a go-to treat or an ice lolly, and I try and just swap it in for lower calorie, sort of better things. But I'm definitely craving sugary things.
Yeah, I mean, it is really difficult. I mean, if anybody's really struggling, you know, I would reach out and speak to a menopause nutritionist or dietitian and see what they say. You'll find a lot of them will say you shouldn't be cutting out anything. You shouldn't just be eating this or just be eating that. You should still have a variation of food, but that's not actually my sort of domain. But for me, I fast till lunchtime. That works. Then I kind of try and have something salady to almost line the stomach. Then I have some crackers, some protein. I cook lots of boiled eggs. I might have a bit of cheese.
Yeah, eggs are
boiled egg, cherry tomatoes, things like that. And if I really fancy something crispy, I just have like the lentils that are just sort of air fried more than a nice bag of Walkers, which I'd really like.
You see, I don't like lentils. I would be a really good vegan if I liked lentils, but I really don't.
No, but the lentil crisps.
Oh, right. Okay, but they're quite high calorically, aren't they?
No, I don't have a lot, but they're better than the greasy ones. They're all kind of cooked in the oven and things like that.
It's hard though. It's like, what do you choose and which bit do you follow? Because one diet says this, one diet says that, and it's just trying to navigate around it with actually foods that you want and that you want to enjoy as well.
Yeah, and you should. I mean, I think most of the nutritionists that I've worked with all say you have to live, and you shouldn't be cutting foods out. You should just be kind of eating them maybe in a different order. That can make a big difference. I feel
also we used to be taught that, you know, your breakfast is the biggest meal that you should be having, and that's the time when I want to eat the least.
That's me, but a lot of nutritionists do say you should have a really good, either some of them are for porridge, others aren't, others are saying savoury, some are saying sweet. Keep up. You've got to do what's right for you, but definitely that's a really good idea, Faye. If you're keeping a food diary, so you know, my personal experience would be just be careful not to overdo the gluten. A couple of people have said dairy, but I sort of knocked dairy out and I've reintroduced it slowly, and it hasn't made a difference. But what did was pre and probiotics for me. So
what's we've just had lots of lovely suggestions down here as well. Biotics. Where do we get our prebiotics from? Because that's from your actual raw food, isn't it? And your probiotic
yes,
is
and
to be
I
had
mean,
with it to complement it, isn't
yeah.
it?
I mean, for me, I just clearly wasn't eating enough foods that had those kind of things. And it's a bit like supplements. I always say to people, don't go out and take 8 or 9 supplements. You're never going to know what works. But for me, and my advice is always vitamin D. We don't have enough sun in this country. When we do, we smother ourselves in sun cream. So I take vitamin D. I take a pre and probiotic.
So
Um,
can I stop you? What how do you do your vitamin D? Is that a supplement?
Yeah, these are the supplements I take. So I take a vitamin D because that can help with lots of menopause symptoms. And I also take magnesium, which is good
Oh
for
yeah.
restless legs. It's good for sleep. But I always say to ladies, don't go out and take, oh, I'm taking 8. Just take 1 or 2, give it 3 months, and if it doesn't work for you, try something else. Because what works for one person, and you should be trying to get as much, of the goodness through your diet anyway. But we do need a bit of a top up every now and again, especially you when you're on the road and you're on, and you can't quickly bash out a few boiled eggs and eat them for lunch, or have, I don't
Although
know,
I've got to say,
avocado on toast.
Marks and Sparks is quite a good one. Not that we're naming brands or anything, but for life on the road, if you can find a Marks's garage, it's brilliant because you've got your little eggs in the,
Yeah,
their little side dishy things. You can get some good bits and pieces to
and they
live
do
on.
salads, don't they? Let's be honest, they do
Yeah.
salads, so you can you can
I
live
mean, it's
life well
getting a
on the
little
road.
bit better, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So we've kind of covered nutrition, we've done a bit on the supplements, we've done a bit on it. What was your HRT? What do you say you use? Favorite, you use gel and the
So
Myrena coil?
yeah, I've got the Easter gel. Mine was the Levocert coil, but it's the same as the Mirena.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm on at the moment, and I'm literally just on 1 pump. So I
Oh
was
wow,
in,
so not
yeah,
very much then.
the lowest. I was in Manchester. I was touring with 42nd Street, and I'd run out of my Easter gel. And the days running up to when I was running out, I absolutely panicked. And I couldn't get hold of it for a week. So here's something that for people to know. If you go, if you're away and you can't get hold of it, if you've got your repeat prescription, you can take it to any chemist. And if they've got your NHS number, they can find your prescription. And if they have it in stock, you can get your prescription anywhere in the UK. So you don't have to go back to your own doctors. So if you're away on holiday or away for the weekend,
Yeah.
you can still get that. And I didn't know that was possible. Also, so my first stint on my HRT, so I'm past my 6-month stage, I had a review, and then he was able to give me 3 months worth, which was great. So I've got all mine stocked up and ready for tour now.
Yeah.
Which
All
is
I say to people, especially with all the shortages, is obviously we don't, because of the shortages, the GPs don't want to be giving out 6, 9, 12 months because we're trying to space the dose fairly. But we have got Besins who make Easter gel. They've built a new factory. It's either in Spain or Poland, and I can't remember what. But we should be starting to, we hope, because I'm part of the Make Menopause Matter campaign and the Menopause Mandate. So we do campaign hard for our government. If I could beg them to do anything, please make GPs have mandatory menopause training, because people like me wouldn't have slipped through the net. And so many women say, I'm 39, I've got at least 40, he said, come back when I'm 51. Well, I won't be here when I'm 51. And, I think it was really good because your GP was quite open to the conversation then.
So I went armed with the all the symptoms and the advice. I read Davina's book, Menopausing, and within that book, well, I actually listened to it, but within the book, she says, you need to tell your GP this. I don't know if they would have asked me those questions. It was a female doctor that I had to go through my first discussions, and then that changed, and I had 2 different doctors after that. The second one was female and the third one was male, and I felt like I was treated very differently by them both. The first one I thought was very open to conversations, and I felt very blessed that I had that person first. The second person, who was female, was a little bit dismissive of it all, and I don't know whether that was a generational age gap and they had felt that they'd gone through it and like didn't have to, you know, it's
up and shut up.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
To live like that
I did
anymore.
feel like that a little bit. And then the third person, who was male, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but just when I was asking questions, I was made to feel like almost I was trying to rub him up the wrong way, and I was just genuinely asking questions. But it is what it is, and this is why we're having these chats now, to educate ourselves and just to be armed with the knowledge, so we can go in and say, these are my symptoms, this is what I think I need.
Yeah.
Is this something that you can do for me? What are your suggestions? What do you think?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, if you sign up
have
to my website, I've got a free sheet you can print out as well, and I've got a set of menopause trackers in my shop. But I would also say, I had a lady, I've got a menopause Facebook group of quite a few ladies, and I did read this really amusing, it was about a month ago now, a lady put, oh my God, I went to the doctors and I could see the young doctor that I was going to see. He was male and he looked about 12. Then she left it at that, and then she reported back in and she went, don't judge a book by its cover. He'd only been out of training for a couple of years. I've left with HRT. He was really gemmed up. He clearly wasn't 12. And she said, so I felt really bad. And I told him that I judged him and thought, oh my God, you're male. Should I wait 4 months for an appointment? She said, I just wanted to cry when I saw you, but I just want to say, thank you so much. And she said he was really knowledgeable. So again, we're campaigning by 2024, 2025, all med students will have a compulsory period of time with menopause training. So they're filtering through the system, but we've got a long way to go. So which is why we need to get, you know, as many chats and information. And stuff is changing all the time, Faye. I mean, you know, if you're on one pump and you're still struggling a little bit, speak to your GP about doing 2 pumps. There's not a massive, you know, it's not as though some women absorb better than others. Like you might have a pump and you might really absorb it well. I'm at 4 pumps and it's not doing anything. So change from gel, for example, to a patch, or change from a patch to a tablet if nothing is working. But you've got to give it 3 months for your body to adjust before you go back screaming at your doctor it's not worked.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do know is that my journey is going to change. And as I go along, because it's not something that you just get your Easter gel and that's it, you're cured, because it's not. It's a journey, because everything is moving around at different rates and it's all trying to work itself out. So I know that I'm on 1 pump at the moment. I am getting more symptoms at the moment. I have been a little bit ragey again. But what I'm seriously, trying to do again,
I mean, 1 pump is so little. I would go back. Even 2 pumps is not a lot, but it may be a massive difference to your symptoms.
So this is what I was trying to do, is I'm trying to journal again and do, like, I'm wondering whether it's where my natural cycle would have been, because now I've got the progesterone coil, where my natural cycle would be, and I'm wondering whether that's just where I would have had a spike anyway, and that's my natural thing. So is that what's going on, or do I need to up it again? So I'm just journaling again. I've got, well, not writing it down, but I've got a little note in my phone, like, this is what I'm journaling for.
I'm sure your husband and son will be going, son, get your crash helmet on. That week is coming.
Run! Mum's coming home. I know.
But all I say to people is don't suffer in silence, because I think we're just trained to stick it out. Well, I'm doing it au naturel, and I'm gonna get there another year and I'll be fine. It's, if I could turn the clock back, I don't remember any of my 40s and my early 50s, and I just say to people, don't need to be a hero, up it. You can always come down. You can always stop taking HRT. You can, you know, it hasn't worked for me. I can't take it. But I needed it in my early 40s. So I beg people, suffering should not be an option. If yours not right, Faye, you should be making an appointment in the next few weeks, see your GP and go, look, I'm a little bit narky, can I take it? Can I have another pump? And you'll be chatting to me in another few months' time going, best thing I ever did, or it didn't make any difference. And it really is tweaking what works for you. And I hate it, because when I coach ladies, they say, how much longer? When will I? And you just don't know. You don't know when menopause is going to end for anybody. And like I say, some women, a lady's just put on here that she came off HRT due to migraines. That's all being looked at and questioned at the moment. And a lot of women, if you're obese, were told they couldn't have HRT. If you've got heart disease now, all the evidence that's coming through, you can go back and speak to your GP. You can take mild doses. They actually think it's, if you imagine, if you're overweight, you're demoralised. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to do anything. So give those ladies a mild dose. Keep your eye on their blood pressure. And hopefully they'll be a bit more motivated. They'll go to the gym. They'll get moving a little bit more. And, you know, I just think we've been, somebody somewhere in the room 40 years ago said, no, if you're obese, if you've got heart disease, you can't have HRT. And then everyone's looking at one another today saying, well, what research has been done on that? And maybe we do need to look into this more now. So, yeah, it's changing all the time, Faye. So I know that, you know, we're now talking about more progesterone. That's just come out from the British Menopause Society. So we are stuck in a rut of being taught from 70, 80, 90, 100 years ago, and evidence is changing all the time.
Yeah, and new research is being done, thankfully, as well. So there's another thing that I want to touch upon. It's not something that I've been I need currently, I don't think, but it's testosterone as well, because so it's fatigue, lack of libido,
joint pain.
Yeah. So one of my friends was saying that this isn't, they don't prescribe it on the NHS. You have to go privately for that. Can you tell me about that, please?
No.
This is a question I want to ask. What's your information?
So normally your GP will make you look at estrogen and progesterone, your HRT to start with. You can't just go in and demand. If, let's say, you've been on it for 2 years and you're really struggling with lots of other symptoms, a small pea-size amount of ladies, okay, oh, use the whole sachet because it's designed for men. You have to get that sachet, squeeze it into a little dish and divide it into 8. We are trying to change that. We are campaigning. So we get a nice little designer thing for a handbag that will just give out a pump. But it's a lot of women say it's good for brain fog. Yeah, I read a research paper the other day that said there's no research that backs that up. Now, guess who has very high levels of testosterone but has horrific joint pain? So again, I think we need more research. We were given, I think it was last year, Maria Caulfield MP said once it goes through and is accepted over here with the powers that be and it gets all the tests. In fact, it's been used in Australia for 30 odd years. It's ridiculous.
Right.
She will add it to the HRT pre-prescription plan. So we know it's coming. But for some women, they say to me, it has absolutely changed my life.
Really?
But again, it's just, I'm not medically trained. You would need to speak to a GP about that. But definitely women that speak to me and say a pea-size amount, I always say to people, it's not a pump, it's not your estrogen, it's a pea-size amount. Unless you want a bigger Adam's apple and hands than your husband and hairy legs, it's a pea-size amount on the inside of your thigh. And I mean, it's crazy, really, if you think about a little bit pea-size amount. Women say it absolutely changes their life around. So again, it's finding what's right for you, Faye. But yeah, it is available. If you can get it from your GP, is a bit of a postcode lottery, but you will be read a disclaimer.
Yeah.
And I know they prescribe it at my GPs, but they wouldn't give me testosterone because I have very high amounts still in my body.
Well done, you.
Did you any good for my joints?
No, exactly. One thing that I did want to say, though, as a sort of woman in her late 40s, still working and still, I think, in the public eye as well. And I think what I've really struggled with is sometimes my anxiety takes over, and I don't feel good about myself, and I've really struggled looking at my body in a different way as well, because that's been changing. I can't do the things that I used to do. It's not snapping back into place where it used to as well. And the biggest thing that I think that I've learned recently is to be kind to yourself. If you're having the bad day, you're looking in the mirror, you're not feeling yourself. My thing was, I'll whack some makeup on and I'll put on something that I really like, that's comfortable, maybe a bit of colour as well. And I want to train my brain to go, do you know what, we are going to have a good day, and try and fake it a little bit. And that has really helped me. Getting outside has really helped me. I need to sometimes I say step away from the mirror actually, and don't be inside. Go outside, go and have a nice walk somewhere, meet with
Green
friends,
space, blue
be outside.
space. Yeah,
Absolutely. That's been really good sort of for mental health reasons.
yeah.
Also, having my girls squad around me, if
Absolutely.
I'm having moments where I'm feeling like the world's falling apart a
Yeah,
little
bit
bit,
lost.
and
Bit
yeah,
lost.
and
Yeah,
a little bit sort of lonely, I think
yeah,
you can say even.
yeah.
I think it's really important to not be afraid to reach out to your friends who are going through a similar thing, because you never know, they might be feeling the same on the same day.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to communicate how you're feeling to your family and your friends as well if you're having a bad day, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because sometimes people want to have a vent as well and they're in the same boat, and that's really good. And if not, lots of people will give you virtual hugs as well.
Yeah.
And but I think the biggest thing that I've learned, especially, I was doing a photo shoot the other day and I felt horrendous, and I just turned around and I was just like, yeah, but today is today. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be kind to myself and go, do you know what? People probably don't see me like I see myself. And actually, our body is just a vehicle. It's who you are inside. And you need to forget about this that's going on and actually just try and have the best out of your day. So,
First of all, Faye, I've got to say, you look amazing. You in that black dress. Where were you going the other day?
Oh,
You
oh,
looked stunning.
oh, bless you. Just out to dinner, actually, just
You
doing
look,
some silly filming.
you look
But
lovely.
oh,
But you are right. I mean, I talk very openly about the times I've been up the top of the our local car park, because I think, well, if I don't say it, nobody else will. And I think, I don't want to say I was depressed, but I felt a burden on everybody. I think I felt very lonely because I was quite young. All my other friends were like, well, 11 consultants don't know what's wrong with you. Then, get up off your knees and walk properly. And you just, it was just a horrific 10, 11 years for me. So I think you're right. You've got to be kind to yourself. Lots of ladies message me and say, you're so motivated. I said, I promise you, if you can get your menopause toolkit right and get what works for you, you will come out of this. And I think you've got your confidence back. I mean, I stood up in front of a few hundred people last week. I wouldn't have left the house 3 years ago.
yeah,
So I think if you have to be kind, and I think if you've got a good network around you, that is absolutely massive, absolutely massive. And I think your advice is second to none. And Faye, I could talk to you all night, but I'm looking at the time thinking your husband and son are going to think, oh, mum's having a chat about her hormones again.
I know, here she goes again.
Or your friend and your daughter.
But I'm really.
But listen, Faye, you must give me your address so I can send you my book afterwards.
I will do.
And thank you so much for just normalising and being so open and honest, because it is personal, but we do have to thank the Davinas, the Lisa Snowdens, the Cherry Healeys, the Dame Kelly Holmes, and all our celebs, because if they don't talk about it, I mean, it made me laugh the other week. I was approached by Woman's Health magazine, and poor Halle Berry had been diagnosed with herpes. Now, how many marriages have ended because they've been, if you haven't been playing around, you would blame your husband, but she had vaginal atrophy. But fair play to her, she stepped up and told the press and said, I've been diagnosed with herpes. How many marriages in the last 20, 30,
Wow.
40, 50 years, how many women have been diagnosed with herpes when the poor woman was suffering with vaginal atrophy? But fair play, she stepped up to the press. Who was the other celeb in the States that was having a really bad hot flush? And she owned it. She went, I'm sorry, you're going to have to pass me up. They were fanning her.
Drew Barrymore quite often do it.
It was.
I think love her for that. Yeah.
But you know what? Why should women be written off? Women like yourselves, you're hugely successful as a young lady, and you're hugely successful as a mature, beautiful lady. So why should we be saying, oh, she's menopausal? I did have somebody in business turn around to me about 3 months ago and say, we don't employ women of menopausal age. And the saddest thing is, you will have women and young ladies that go through POI, polycystic ovarian insufficiency. I know 2 ladies on here that have gone through menopause at 13 years old and 14.
Wow.
And if you think about it logically, we are living for longer. So we are going to be post-menopause for 40 years plus, some of us. Well, I certainly wasn't in perimenopause for 40 years. I certainly wasn't in premenopause as a, you know, a toddler, a child, you know, an adolescent. And so we need to get real in this world, and we need to start accepting that 51% of the population are going to go through this. And the more we talk about it now, as Diane Danzebrink from the Make Menopause Matter campaign says, we will be the generation to make menopause matter for our you know, our younger ladies.
Hear, hear.
And on that note, Faye, thank you so much for finding the time to talk to me tonight. We must have another chat again. I want to know how you're getting on in another few months' time. And if anybody's listening, you know, do please give Faye a follow. It's so nice of our celebs to come out and give their time totally free and support our little businesses. And have a lovely evening. Thank you for joining me. Faye, have a lovely evening, and we will connect in a minute. Lovely. And I can send you some books. And I'm going to send you some of this.
Yes, please go on.
I am. When the lorry turns up and it's got Yes Vagina Moisturiser on it, you'll know it's from me.
All for me. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks again, Faye. Lots of love. Yeah. Thanks, my love.